G'day, we're talking tyres again, and we're talking a cheap way that you can get into tyres for your vehicle. In this case, we're talking about a 4x4 utility vehicle in Australia, such as a BT50 or a D-Max, Hilux, Triton, Ranger. The cheap way to get tyres. This is not unknown to many people, but if you are not asking a lot of your tyres and you're not wanting something quite specialised, this can be a really great way to go. And what it is buying factory rims and tyre packages off either a dealer or somebody who's just bought a car and ripped the wheels off at dealer delivery because they want to put an aftermarket rim on it. The two stacks of tyres we have here, we've got a few over there as well, are tyres and rims that have been, that someone has, they've bought a new ute, they've taken the factory rims off, this pretty much as soon as they've taken delivery, and they've whacked them on their, whacked new rims and tyres on their dual cab or single cab, you know, change the look of it, make it a little bit more unique, and you know, roll, or it's just because they really feel they have a need for a different, you know, tread pattern or tyre brand off the factory tyres. So these here, this relates to any 4x4. This is equally pertinent to anything. But we're talking today about tyres here that are off a Hilux. So this is off the current generation Hilux, the N80. These are Bridgestone Jewelers. These are all-terrains, and they're in 265, 65, 17. This is the standard tyre and rim package. So a 17-inch Steely that comes on the Toyota Hilux SR. The SR5s get alloys, and these ones here, the skinnier ones, they're the standard tyre. They're Bridgestone Jeweler HTs, so they're a highway terrain tyre. They're the standard tyres off an N70 Hilux. So N80 Hilux, I might have got that wrong before, sorry about that if I did. N80, N70. So that's the N70 Hilux standard tyre. Their tyres I've just picked up in the last week or so from someone who's had it sitting in his garage. He's now sold his N70, he's got an N80, and he took them off at dealer delivery, and they've just been sitting there doing nothing. Now he sold the car, he sold them, and I got them for $300. So $300, rims included, tyres in excellent condition, hardly done any work at all, center caps, and I got the wheel studs as well. So, not that I needed them, but I got them. So for that, $300 for a set of four tyres, not hard to see how there's a few savings there. Those tyres there, because the 205 R16s in that sort of that sort of tread pattern with Bridgestone, their Bridgestones, you know, they're upwards of $200. The all-terrains Jewelers are a bit over $300 a tyre, and the highway terrains are a little bit less than that. And you can get a set of desert Jewelers in that size for, depends on where you go, but you're paying over $200 for them as well. So, you know, for $300 for a set of four tyres that are almost new, that's a good deal. So these ones here, these are 17s, as I said, 265, 65, 17s, and you can quite frequently find these. Occasionally dealers will have a, you know, a big, they'll put on, you know, Gumtree or Facebook Marketplace or something and say, you know, 265, 65, 17s on factory rims, $100 a tyre. That's what I paid for these. You know, me and my brother-in-law, we've bought a heap of these. When we see a set come up for sale for $100 a tyre, we'll buy them, stick them in the shed, and then when our tyres wear out, we'll change over to these. And then when we wear the tyres out, we generally can sell the worn out tyres on the rims for $100 or something. So if you paid $400 for the good tyres, you end up paying only $300. With something like that, those rims are a little bit harder to get rid of because they're old and they're 16s, but you're probably still going to get $50 for them. Someone will buy them for something, for a trailer or something. Particularly if you wear them down to the wear marks, so they're not completely shagged, but they need to be replaced. Someone will buy them and stick them on a trailer. So you know, those, you know, I should get $50 at least for the you know, worn tyres, rims, and the center caps that I've got, and they've cost me $250 for a set of four tyres. These ones here, you can, you know, I said hopefully I'd get $100 for the 17-inch steel rims and the center caps when I go to sell them. when they're almost completely worn out, and then put another set of tyres on. So it's a really economical way. Alloys can be more expensive if you're patient. Last year I bought a full set of 5 D-Max tyres that were pulled off at delivery, and there were 4 alloys in the brand new spare, and the 4 alloys had, I think the guy said, less than 5,000 Ks on them, and they looked like that. So I bought the full set of 4 alloys and the alloy spare for $400. That was pretty good, but I had to look around to find them. Now, but that's the catch. So I actually bought those D-Max rims to put on the Hilux. So I don't care, worst case scenario, I'll pop out the center cap so that it doesn't got an Isuzu logo or something on it. But I really don't care. If they're cheap tyres, that's fine with me. But the problem was they didn't fit, because the center hole of the D-Max rim is smaller than the Hilux one. So that's your center hole. It has to be the right size. So there's a couple of things you need to check. The PCD, so the spacing between your different wheel studs, that's pretty much going to be, unless you're looking something specialty, like one of these won't fit on a Ram 1500, for example, completely different stud pattern. But these will usually interchange. Just check your PCD between the different vehicle makes, and then you also have to check your offset. So the offset for this rim is different to this rim. This rim is dished, slightly dished, and that rim is not. And I can run these Steelies on my Hilux without too much difficulty, but the problem is they just stick out of the guards a little bit because they don't have flares. My workmate doesn't have flares. If I had the SR5, which has fender flares, these would fit on there, not a problem at all, and they look relatively factory, apart from the fact that you've got an SR5 Hilux with fender flares perhaps, with running a set of 17-inch Steelies. Apart from that, they'll go no problems at all, but you do need to check that, because if you've got a different vehicle that has a significantly different offset, then your wheels could scrub at full lock, they're too far into the guard, or if they're too far out the other way, they'll stick outside your guards. So you do need to check the offset, you do need to check the PCD, but also check the center hole. Now there's some people out there that'll tell you if you just get a router or something, or you can grind out the center. I wouldn't do that personally, for a whole bunch of reasons, but principally because if you grind it out and it's not sitting on that center hub perfectly, because all your wheel studs are being asked to do is to hold the wheel onto the hub. The weight of the vehicle is sitting on the hub, okay? So the wheel studs hold it on, make sure that it doesn't fly off the hub, but it's the hub that takes all the pressure. That's what's taking your rolling weight of the vehicle as it's cruising down the road. And if you grind out the center and don't get that absolutely perfect, then your wheel studs are going to be taking either some or all of the weight of the vehicle on the wheel studs. And the wheel studs, quite frankly, are not designed to do that. And I've been in an unfortunate situation when I was younger to shear off my wheel studs and see my wheel bouncing down the road and go, oh, I've got a wheel like that, which was literally the first thought that came into my mind, idiotic as it sounds. See this wheel bounce, oh, I've got a wheel like that, and then crunch, down I went. That's no fun, let alone the long freaking trek you're going to have to go and track down where your wheel is, because when that happens, your wheel just keeps going and going and going. It's amazing how far it gets before you can find it. And that's if it hasn't, you're on a dual lane highway and it does it, and it rolls into someone or smashes into someone's windscreen or God only knows what. So that's a no-go. Don't muck around with that is my suggestion. You can get it professionally done, but you're going to erode some of your savings there. And when unless you really like the factory look of one tyre that you've got to have it on your car, and so you grind out the center, or don't grind out the center, get it professionally done to rehouse that center so it'll fit on your hub perfect. The problem is if you ever want to sell those rims, if you do what I've described, where you buy them, wear them down, and then sell the rims, it's going to be pretty hard to sell a D-Max rim, for example, that's been ground out to fit a Hilux, because the people that are principally going to look to buy that rim are probably going to be D-Max owners, and they're not going to want it because it's no longer going to fit their vehicle exactly, and it's going to potentially prematurely wear or snap their wheel studs. So you do need to be careful of that. Also, check the tyres ain't tyres, obviously. So you can get a reputable brand, but even in reputable brands, that you can get, you know, budget crappy tyres. I had a set of Dunlops on my when I bought an MN Triton new years ago, probably about 2010, something like that. And those tyres were rubbish. I mean, they were fine for grip, but they just wore out. They were completely worn out in about 20,000 Ks. So if I bought them and you bought them cheap enough, it might still be a good deal. But you know, you can get tyres that'll last you 80,000 Ks. You can buy factory tyres that'll get you 60,000 Ks. And some people, I had a Kluger once, and for work, and you know, those factory tyres did just over 80,000 Ks rotating them before I needed to change them out, and the rears, from memory, was still okay, which is phenomenal for a set of factory tyres, but they had been rotated regularly and everything. But anyway, that's fantastic. So you do want to check tyres, because some vehicles do come on some pretty average tyres. So for example, I've got a brand new set of Ram tyres that someone took off after dealer delivery, and they're running on Nexen tyres. So obviously when whoever was the importer brought them in, they didn't have suitably approved tyres, so they pulled them off and put the Nexens on, or maybe that is what was fitted in America. I tend to doubt it, but that might be what they roll on from factory. And they're crap tyres. They're just crap tyres. So you wouldn't pay a whole bunch for it, you know what I mean? So you do want to keep that in mind. You know, what is the tyre on it? You know, if I want an all-terrain, you know, what's the particular specification of tyre or vehicle that I've got to look for that gets me the tyre pattern I want. But if you're just running down the highway, like with a Hilux, for example, you can soon keep an eye out for an SR5 tyre, and those tyres will be absolutely fine for what you're doing, even if they are a highway terrain rim. Absolutely not a problem. So you do need to look around. So where would you find tyres like this, and how much should you pay? Well, where would you find them? Any of your online, you know, marketplace. So if you've got a Ranger buy, swap and sell on places on social media like Facebook, that's a good place to look. Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace generally is good places to look. Occasionally you can find a real bargain on eBay. Still, not as many people using it now because for tyres and stuff compared to like Facebook Marketplace, because eBay will cost you and Facebook Marketplace is free. But because less people are selling there, less people are looking there, so you can find some bargains on there from time to time. I've picked up some really good bargains on eBay even just recently, because people don't tend to use it as much anymore, because it's very expensive to sell on. So, but if you find a place there, the other place to look, so apart from online places, I said Gumtree, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, but Facebook Marketplace might not necessarily penetrate you to seeing everything you want to. So those buy, swap and sell, or buy, Australian Ford Ranger classifieds, for example, is a good place to jump on and just watch, be patient, look before you need them. So if you've got a set of tyres and you're going to keep your vehicle for the next 5 years, and you're doing 25,000 Ks a year and your tyres are almost worn out, you go in somewhere in the next year, I'm going to have to replace them. Start looking and grab a set, put it aside, ready to go, whack it on when your tyres wear out. So think about it ahead of time. That's worthwhile doing. And how much should you pay? Well, with Steelies are always going to be worth less. And the quality of the tyre. Highway terrains are generally going to be less sought after. All terrains, particularly aggressive all terrains, like these are Bridgestone Jeweler ATs, but this isn't the most aggressive tread pattern that jewelers make in the jewelers have. So you can get different tread patterns that will be more highly sought after. And the easy way to sort that out is just have a look at what's for sale, and then have a look on the various, Bob Jane's website's quite good. It'll give you the retail price for pretty much every tyre that they stock. So that's quite handy, so you can price it up and see what it's worth. But you want to be getting a sizable discount. Like if it's rolling on Steelies, delivery Ks, I'm quite fussy. I'd probably want them for $100 a rim and tyre. That's what I'd be looking to try and get them for. That you might have to be patient to do that, but that's what I'd be looking at, something around there. You know, you might go up a little bit if they're genuine, straight off the car at delivery, pre-delivery only. You get the center caps and the wheel studs and everything for them, which is not unhelpful when you go to sell the rims and tyres. That can be quite valuable as well. Can give you something over somebody else who's lost them or they're cracked and smashed up. So that's worth having a think about. But you know, you might go up to 150 maybe. If you look at the tyre and the tyre's worth, you know, $300, but if the tyre's worth $200, you've already got rims. You really have to be getting them. You know, I mean, $50 is okay, but you'd want them nearly brand new. You'd really want them brand new to really give you some sort of saving for the inconvenience of having to go and buy them. You're going to have to fit them yourself. You're going to have to store them until you need them. But then again, you can factor in the selling of your old rims if they've got a bit of value in them, and that can offset it a little bit. Alloys are going to cost you more than that, and you're just going to have to determine what that alloy rim is worth to you, because there's going to be people running on Steelies who would rather have alloys, so they might be willing to pay a little more than someone selling a set of Steelies. So you're just going to have to figure out what the alloy rim is worth to you, and then if you're going to hock it later on, what's it worth to sell down the track? Is it going to give you a premium to sell that alloy rim? But sometimes there's, you know, the SR5, the original SR5 rim on the N80, horrific looking rim. Some people out there probably like it, but generally based on marketplace demand, it looks like it's not well liked as a rim. Isuzu have had a terrible run of just ugly alloy rim packages, just horrible. The current D-Max is no exception. That rim is just hideous. You'll know the one I'm talking about. It's almost a full face rim. It's just disgusting. They are not well regarded, so you can pick up one of those, you know, a full set of them quite cheap, because nobody wants them because they're an awful looking rim. So if you find something like that that's unpalatable, but then the flip side of that coin is you might find a rim that everybody really likes. So limited edition, the Hilux Black Edition in the N70, released about 2014. The Hilux Black Edition rims, they come with a TRD center cap. They're quite desired, and they, you know, I've seen them for sale, you know, for $1,500, $2,000, and people have bought them in the past because people quite like the look of the rim. Doesn't do it for me, but for other people, they seem to quite like that rim, so they'll pay more for that rim. But you know, all your savings are gone then. You're really doing it because you want that rim. You're not doing it because you're trying to get some cheap tyres. That's all out the window by that point in time. So, you know, that's some things you really want to have a think about in terms of how you price it up. And then, you know, the other things, as I said, is, do the center caps come with it? If you get an alloy, you might find a set of 4 alloy rims that are missing one or all 4 of the round center caps in the middle. If you don't care about that, you might be able to get a good deal there. And the other place you can look to get these things is try your dealer, try your local dealer. When you take your car in for a service, if you get service, if you're going in to get parts, or you're just driving past, call in. Have you got any you know, dealer delivery tyres you've taken off, rims and tyres that you've taken off, and how much do you want for them? We've got a local dealer near me who has a pile of them, and every now and again the pile gets too big and he runs them out. The first set of these that we bought, Hilux 17-inch 265/65 17s from the N80 Hilux, we bought from a dealer that's about 100 k's from here, in a town that we travelled through. Excuse me, that's my phone going off, which I should have put on silent before I before I started doing the video. We've got so there's a dealer that's quite, you know, it's about 100 k's from us, in a town that we travel through quite regularly, and he had a stack of these rims and he was running them out of $100 each just to get rid of them. So we bought about 8 of them in one hit while we were driving through one day. So they're worth a try, because often they'll have them out the back, and if they don't have to advertise them, don't have to muck around with them, you might get a dealer who goes, oh yeah, sure, you know, oh, their retail's about, you know, $300, so, you know, we'll do them at like $290. Again, you want to know what they're worth on the retail market. But you'll find alloys, you'll find Steelies. Most dealers will have something, and that's a good place to look as well. So worth doing that, particularly if you're going for a service. Oh, you got any pre-dealer deliveries? You get them on the day where they've just got one gone the next day. They sell them for $100. It's $400 that they didn't have previously, and the vehicle's been sold anyway. They got their margin off that. You might get lucky. So if you don't need a specialised tyre, you don't need a specialised width. You're not changing your width, or you just got to have that particular rim. You like the rim you're on. This is a really good way to go. But where it all falls down, this whole strategy, just to wind up here, is if you buy them, if you say, oh wow, those tyres are worth $200, $300 a tyre, and I can buy them on rims for $150, I'll buy them and take them to my local tyre fitter and get him to change them over. You want to price that first. Generally, in my experience, tyre dealers do not like doing that. You take them a set of tyres, can you put these tyres on these rims? Some will do it, some will not, and some will do it at a very, very high price because there's no margin in it for them. Their margin's in the tyre, not the labour of fitting the tyre. So they might go, oh yeah, we'll do it, but it's $100 a tyre fitting or $80 a tyre fitting. And to be fair, they do have to muck around. They have to take it off the old rim. They have to take the other tyre off the old rim. They have to swap it over. They have to balance the new one to make sure that it's right and then fit it. So there is a bit of work there, and you might find that you could buy a set of tyres for say $300 brand new, fitted and balanced with a wheel alignment, and you go, yep, okay, $300, but I can buy these for $150, and then it's going to cost me $100 to swap them over, and you've saved yourself $50, and you may still need to pay for a wheel alignment, which erodes the rest of it. So you want to look into that first. So if you're planning on buying factory tyres and then swapping them to different rims, please be aware that you want to go. If you can't do it, and once you get it, like there are home changing, machines, little stands, and you've got tyre levers and you can change them over. Generally, those fairly cheap couple $100 tyre changes are only good up to a certain size. So if you've got 18s and in some case 17s, those home kits won't do it. They'll only do like 16s. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get one that does 17s. But if you're doing 18s, 19s, or sometimes 17s, those things won't do it. So you'll have to take it to someone, and you should get your tyres balanced. You should get your tyres balanced anyway, and you won't have a tyre balancer at home, unless you're very fortunate. So you want to price that up first. So don't assume that you can buy a set of these cheap and then swap them over to your rims because you want to keep your rims and get a cheap set of tyres. You want to go to your local tyre fitter, price it up first, make sure they're happy to do it, and then factor that into your cost. And if there's still a saving in there, by all means do it, but don't necessarily assume. So that's some things to think about, some good things, some bad things to think about in terms of what can be the cheapest way to get new tyres for your vehicle. Keep an eye out for some factory ones. You do have to take a concession on. You might not necessarily get the look of the wheel that you want. You might not necessarily get the tyre brand you want. You might not necessarily get the tyre pattern that you want or the tyre size that you want. But if you're doing largely highway driving or you're not asking a lot of your tyres, this really can be a cheap way to get into a new set of tyres. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it was useful. See you next time.